Hey everyone, I want to talk to you really quickly about an approach to documentation that I have sort of developed over the years conceptually. Looks like we lost me there. Okay, there we go. And I call it object-oriented documentation, and you'll see why in just a second here. So who am I? My name is Luke Perkins. I work for the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, which is a subset of the Linux Foundation that works with open source projects in the kind of Kubernetes, container, so-called cloud native space. A little bit about me. I've done a lot of things in the industry. Right now I work as a dev advocate, which is kind of a nebulous job title. It means a lot of things, but it largely means that I work as kind of a standard tech writer. I've worked as a web designer, and I've done lots and lots of stuff with static site generators. So concerns about information architecture and structure are never too far from my thoughts. I'm Luke Perkins on Twitter and Slack. If you want to get a hold of, oh sorry, not Slack. I mean Twitter and GitHub. Yeah, I'm not. Please don't write me on Slack. I have too much of that already. I have worked on a lot of. Is it also really kind of boomy and echoey out there? Is that just up here? Okay, sorry. I'll see if I can hold it further away here. So I've worked on a lot of really kind of large, multifaceted docs projects, and I've sort of won a lot of very hard lessons that way. So some examples are projects that I've worked on in the past are React, which is a NoSQL database, Apache Bookkeeper, which is a log database, Apache Pulsar, which is a pub/sub messaging system, kind of a newfangled version of Kafka, Apache Heron, which is a stream processing system, and right now I'm working a lot on Kubernetes, which is a container orchestration platform. And what these projects all have in common is that they are big, sprawling projects that have lots and lots of parts and pieces in a very large surface area. So this got me thinking over the years about two basic approaches to writing and structuring your docs. So one of them I call the narrative approach, and this is one that I think we see most often. So this is where you have like a docs folder in your project, and it's full of markdown files or RST files, ASCII doc, whatever. And what characterizes the narrative approach is that the data and the presentation layer overlap. So you have one file, you have your gettingstarted.md file, and that produces a single page, your getting started page. And like I said, I think that most projects are structured this way. In a lot of cases for smaller projects, I think that that's totally fine, and you don't need to do much more than that. For larger projects, though, I find what I call an object-oriented approach to be very beneficial. So this is where you store certain forms of data, like let's just call them objects, in some kind of key value format. So this could be JSON or YAML or TOML. And in this format, the data and the presentation layer are neatly separated. So you have some kind of data source, and then that you can sort of write and update independently from how it looks. So there's no one page or one file, one page system. And this enables you to basically to have one object that can have all kinds of forms of presentation and instantiation throughout your docs. So an analogy is like a model versus view in web APIs and MVC frameworks. So if you use like Ruby on Rails or something, you have like a user object or a user model, and then when you write your view layer, this model can be presented in any number of ways. So I'll give an example of an object-oriented docs approach. So imagine you have a very concept-heavy docs project, like a NoSQL database, which I've worked on before in the past. So NoSQL databases are very complex, and there's a lot of concepts that you have to get right. So some of these might be, strong versus eventual consistency, convergent replicated data types, consistent hashing, lots of stuff. 1 minute, whoa. So an approach to doing this might be to create a concepts.yaml file for Hugo or Jekyll and in the data folder, and you have different fields in there. So name, description, related concepts. And then from that, you can generate all kinds of different content. So you can generate a specific page for the eventual consistency concept. You can combine all your concepts together in one page. You can create clickable pop-up modals for the different concept definitions. So you click on the eventual consistency word in one of your narrative files, and it pops up. There you go. Or you can create an admonition block, like an info block. And so lots of other things you can do with this: tasks, dependencies, requirements, timelines, changelog, etc. So the advantage of the narrative approach is that it's very simple, very straightforward, one page, one file. With the object-oriented approach, you can have one single data object that you can reuse throughout your documentation. So in different domains of your docs, different doc types, and so on and so forth. I find it much more maintainable. Come talk to me if you want more concrete examples about how to do this. Thanks.